Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. So now, without any further ado, it's the man with the plan to put gold in your hand, Mr. Tony Hammock. Take it away.
Well, thanks, Matt. Hey, everybody out there. I hope you're enjoying this great weather we've got here.
Threw you off there, didn't I?
I know, just a little tiny bit. At least we don't have Asa here today, so you get the high, squeaky voice to introduce Asa.
And Asa.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, welcome to the show. We're glad to be here. Thanks for viewing out there in Acts Media Land, and we've got a show just full of information here on alternative assets and things that are going on out there. You know how it's been lately is if you're bored, just wait a few minutes and things will change. And boy, there's been quite a change since last week, especially if you were one of those folks in the NASDAQ with your stock holdings and or companies like Tesla or Apple or any of those guys that corrected so much last Thursday and Friday and then again yesterday and stuff. So it's been interesting. So anyway, we've got a show full of information. You know, right now gold is at $19.50 and 30 cents an ounce. Silver's at $27.02 an ounce. So you know they're kind of holding steady. And you know, as we've talked about so many times on this show, you know, probably a long-term approach is the best, and also a dollar cost averaging approach, a systematic approach, so that when we have this kind of volatility, you make volatility your friend. I mean, you know, let's face it, you know, you can't control what's going to be volatile or not volatile and stuff, so it's kind of the norm these days. So with a systematic approach and a dollar cost averaging approach, as we've talked about before, when there are corrections like these, guess what? You're buying more shares because it's a sale. It's like a shoe sale. You know, it's if your wife or your spouse or your husband, you know, there's a sale at their favorite store, do they stay home or do they go out and you know, get a bunch of shopping carts full of stuff? Well, normally they get a bunch of shopping carts full of stuff. And that's always the thing that amazes me about financial services is oftentimes we'll have a sale like we had Thursday, Friday, and yesterday, and a lot of people don't show up. If anything, people run for the gates because they want to get out. And, you know, sometimes that's the time you got to be contrarian and kind of, you know, put your foot in there and make some purchases and stuff. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get into some of the things we like to do. I always like the Stewardship Course that we do, and this week's course, I believe we're on number 5 of this particular one. Let me find it there. There we go. Boy, I'd be lost if my phone didn't work, wouldn't I? 5. Okay, I think we did that one last week. Let's do 6 this week. 6 is Hidden Beauty. And what struck me most the first time I walked through the African slum was the lack of color and vibrancy that is seen in so many other parts of that continent. There were mud huts, mud walls, mud floors, and mud rivers. Mud was far as the eye could see. There is no natural beauty in the slum, no fruit trees growing, no plants and flowers, no pretty curtains or brightly decorated houses, no pictures or colors. There are just ramshackle houses that are mostly empty, save for a couple of possessions and lots of mud. Beauty is not a word that springs to mind when you enter the slum. Yet if you choose to look deeper, to search beyond what can be seen with the natural eye into the unseen, you'll find a depth of beauty hidden there that is so raw, resilient, and real, it will take your breath away. It is not immediately obvious, but it is there all the same. Discovering it is life-changing and powerful. Behind the TV images, government statistics, and relief charity adverts are the hearts and lives of real people, men, women, and children who, just like you and I, were knitted together in their mother's womb, whom he created fearfully and wonderfully, and whose lives are packed full of undiscovered potential and destiny. They also need to hear the news that they have a Creator who deeply loves them, who has a plan and a purpose for their lives that is good. They need to be told that there is hope, redemption, and love right there waiting for them. They may not be able to see it, understand it, or even conceive of it, but nevertheless it is there. The heart of their heavenly Father longs for them to know this truth, to experience this reality, to be set free from every fear and bondage that lays claim to their lives. So just as we have so freely received this for ourselves, so now freely we must go and give it away. It doesn't really matter where you live or who are the poor that surround you. I say to my team all the time that poverty wears many different faces and carries many different disguises. Whether you live in a slum or a palace, the inner city or the leafy suburbs is irrelevant. That's just geography. What matters is what you are doing with what you have received. How you give of yourself each day to demonstrate a life of hope, love, and peace to those that are around you. And I know we're here to talk about metals and alternative assets, and if you're just tuning in for the first time, the reason why we have a devotional like that today is, I guess 6 weeks ago, I was looking for a new course on stewardship, and rather than go in and look for stewardship, I just thought, I'll go in and look for gold or silver, and I plugged in gold, and this one popped up, literally called gold, and I thought, well, that's interesting. Let's see what it has to say. And the very first devotional was really, really cool because it was talking about, how, sometimes there's a diamond in the rough, so to speak, or there's gold, in people. And so I've kind of continued on with this course. This particular lesson, I think, rings true for a lot of reasons for me because, you just can't judge a book by its cover. And also, one of the keys to Christianity, I think, from some of the different lessons I've had and talking to Jim Whining and Dr. Paul, but I know Jim in particular, he is a big fan of sharing what you have. In other words, it's one thing to know Christ in your heart and to have accepted Jesus Christ into your life, but it's another thing to just sit there and hang on to it. I mean, really, according to Jim and this particular devotional, we should be sharing it. We should be taking it to the people that have never had a chance to know Jesus as their Savior. And, that just is so true because there's a lot of people out there that don't. Believe it or not. I mean, I know it's 2020. I know we have social media. I know we've got, TV 24/7 with 400 channels or however many there are and stuff like that. But there are still people out there that have not been exposed to Jesus Christ. And so that is one of the things that we should keep in mind. So anyway, without going too much further into that, I'll just kind of leave it at that I think that is a wonderful devotional. Next week we'll have number 7, and then I think from there we've got like 4 more in that particular lesson. So, if you see somebody that you think seems to need some hope in their life, you might share your experience, strength, and hope with them. How you came to find Jesus Christ and what He's done for you. And I know I've talked to Jim once before, and he was talking about, if you got $20 or however much, $5, sometimes it makes sense to buy a Bible, and even if it's a pre-owned one, and let's get it in the hands of someone who might need it and stuff. So remember, you're going to be the only copy of the Bible that someone may see. So remember that as you go through your day and stuff. Anyway, enough of that. We'll move on to other things. Hopefully you enjoy that. I kind of like the stewardship part of our show just because, let's face it, we are on a Christian network, and we are here to talk about Christian principles, and that's one of the reasons why we talk about gold and silver so much. Gold's mentioned in the Bible over 400 times, and silver's mentioned over 200 times, and a lot of people think of gold and silver as God's money. And, they've only acted as money now for like 5,000 years, so I don't think they're going to go away anytime soon. If anything, here lately they've become more and more valuable. Central banks throughout the world are hoarding gold. Russia, just yesterday I saw an article on Russia and how much they now have in their central bank and stuff. So thankfully, as the United States looks at their holdings, they've got a vast amount of gold. But any lead that they had on some of these other major powers is getting smaller and smaller, excuse me. I'm just kind of looking here at some of the other little headlines. Let's look at prices. These prices are as of 9:09 this morning, and these would be for the precious metals, and that's by the ounce. Silver is $26.89 an ounce. Gold is $1,945.70 an ounce. Platinum is $921. Palladium is $2,314, and rhodium is $12,600. Then you've got your base metals. Your base metals are by the pound. Copper's on quite a run here. I don't know if you've been tracking this as I share these weekly, but copper's like $3.06 a pound. Nickel is $6.79. Aluminum is $79. Zinc is $1.08. Lead is 86 cents, and uranium is $30.20 a pound. And crude oil is $37.38 a barrel. And the Dow, as you might imagine, after the last 3 days getting hammered the way it did, today the Dow's up so far 356 points. It's at 27,856. NASDAQ's up 161 to 11,009. So, you know, like I said, volatility is there. It's not going to go away. We got a lot of moving parts in this market, and sometimes it's excuse me. Sometimes it's the strength of the dollar. Sometimes it's interest rates. Sometimes it's the Fed. Sometimes it's other countries. You know, it just kind of depends on things that are going on out there, and as I said before, it's just a matter of time. You know, if you're bored, wait a few minutes, and something's going to change with all these different moving parts. So, anyway, those are the prices, and you know, if you noticed, gold and silver kind of held in there over the last week, where obviously the market didn't, and that's why you want to diversify. You know, we always talk about having, say, 10% of your portfolio in metals, because they usually react differently than stocks. And you know, if you look back to 2008, which was the last major meltdown that we had in the markets, I think the S&P 500 was down something like 38%, and gold was up something like 5.6%. So, you know, if you had just 10% in gold, you would have come out of that experience much, much better off than if you were 100% in stocks, or 100% in cash for that matter. Anyway, that's kind of a quick rundown of the prices there. Let's take a look over here at my friend. Can you cut that for a second, please?
I'll mute it.
Okay.
They can see you, but they won't be able to see.
Ah! Okay. Sorry about that. Just a little, I normally don't do that, but, you know, my dad's over there at the Missouri Veterans Home, and they called once, and I ignored it, and I usually jump on it. I mean, that's the one call that I normally will take, because every call they make comes through on the caller ID as the same thing, which is Missouri Veterans Home and stuff. So when they called again that quick, I thought, oh, my goodness, maybe I better check and see what's going on and stuff. So I apologize. As it turns out, it's they're changing one of his medications. So, and by the way, as long as I'm talking about my dad, today is his 90th birthday. Aubrey Hammock, September 9th, 1930. Today he's 90, and he is over there at the Missouri Veterans Home, and has a 30-inch waist and biceps like Popeye, and so he is doing well. Yeah, we're very proud of him, and and eager to talk to him a little bit later on this morning. We're supposed to have an 11 o'clock FaceTime. I tell you, things are so different right now. You know, here I've got a 90-year-old dad, and I know a lot of you have relatives that are in nursing homes or veterans VA homes, or you know, the hospitals and stuff, and you know, you just can't go visit like the old days. I mean, you know, I would love to go and take a cake and a present and stuff, and I checked with them the other day, and we can't. We can do FaceTime, which is better than nothing, but you know, just the rules of the game, the rules of engagement have changed so much with being able to see loved ones that are, you know, getting care in some of these facilities and stuff. Anyway, other things that are going. Oh, I was checking on Egon when that call came through. It kind of threw me off there. I apologize. Let's see what Egon has to say. Egon is one of my favorite folks. That he's over there in Switzerland, and he works for Matterhorn Asset Management, and he's gotten a couple of articles here recently that are just very interesting. One is called Inflation, Dow 50,000, Gold 50,000, and I will tell you that the gist of that article is there's been certain times in history where whatever the Dow Jones Industrial Average is, the price of gold is also. There's only really been like 2 or 3 times since 1900, but it's an interesting time, you know, to kind of realize, okay, at that point, gold was 800 an ounce and the Dow was 800. And his point is that when the Dow gets, you know, so far ahead of what the price of gold is, that it might be, in some people's opinions, overbought and too high. And so in this one article, he kind of gets into why it may end up being one of those things that before this bubble is over, you may see the Dow at 50,000, which if you think about it, you know, that's they're, what, 60% there? I mean, they're almost at 30,000. And, you know, at gold at 50,000. Now, there's the reason I bring it up is if gold is currently at 1935 an ounce. Let me get that back up here. And we're saying, what if gold goes to 50,000? That might be a prudent thing to do as far as having gold in your portfolio. Yeah, $19.50 and 30 cents is the spot price for gold. And if you were wanting to add an ounce of gold with a gold eagle, that would run you about $2,044.25. And the reason being is that spot is it's kind of the barometer, but it's also the price that none of us can get. I mean, it's the price that is from the mine to the mint. And then from there, the mint, you know, melts down the ore and turns it into different things. In this case, it turns it into a 1 ounce gold eagle. And, you know, because of it being refined and 0.999% purity and so forth and so on, it has a premium above spot, which in this case would be, what, about about $94, give or take. And which isn't bad, but it's something to be aware of, so that when you do go to buy gold, you're not looking to buy it at spot. I mean, I'm just trying to, you know, be as transparent as possible so that you understand that. But anyway, so $2,044.25 an ounce, and that would be quite a rise from that to 50,000. Oh, here's the article I saw. Russia's gold and foreign currency reserves surged by 1 billion in 1 week, and it talks about how Russia's got an increase from August 21st to August 28th of $1 billion in just 1 week. And since the start of the year, Russia's gold and foreign currency reserves rose by nearly $36 billion, despite the negative impact of COVID-19 on the country's economy. So they're sure adding to their gold reserves. Another one, now the first one, let's get back to that. The Dow at 50,000 versus gold at 50,000. That one I've already put on my Facebook page for the Gold Affiliate. So you can go to @the Gold Affiliate on Facebook, and you can see I usually try to post all the articles I come across through the week that are, you know, pro and con and good and bad and so forth. A lot of them on there are about the strength of the dollar or lack thereof. So, you know, feel free to tune in there, like the page if you want to get more info so it, you know, comes right into your news feed and stuff like that. But something to think about as far as gold at 50,000. His next article, which just came out, must have been yesterday, Are the Dark Years Coming? And he just did a keynote speech at the GAIC Virtual Gold Conference in Australia. And he talks about the debt and the corrections in gold and silver long term. And so that's there in there. I'll get that posted here soon. And that is what we've got there. I'm thinking, because of all the outside noise, because that's probably something we can pick up, we may take and cut today's show short, just because I'm finding it distracting, and if I'm finding it distracting, I'm sure you're finding it distracting. So if Matt's in the house, yeah, why don't we get Matt's attention, and we'll just take and make sure we load up with more information for next week. Other than that, though, it's going to be an exciting week. It's a short week as far as this week goes. We got today and then, you know, Thursday, Friday, and then a weekend, and it's not a 3-day weekend. But I think we're going to cut this one short just because there's so much outside noise there. So if you can...
you can hear it on the video, but you are perfectly clear.
What's that?
Your voice is coming through perfectly clear. I listened to it.
Yeah.
Now I was listening to it. So it's not interrupting your video as far as what they're hearing.
Well, let's go ahead and cut it short. Yeah, let's do that. So thanks for tuning in. Next week, hopefully this construction on the outside of the building is over. I was actually kind of surprised to see that they still had it going on today, because it seems like they've had it for like the last 2 weeks I've been here. And yeah, so anyway, thanks for tuning in. Tony Hammock signing off, and we'll be back next week with the new gold standard.